the Yankees might be in trouble. But me and Eric both truly believe that the Yankees would make the playoffs no matter what. Now, Mike, I don't know what your opinion is, but things have changed a little bit. Yankees beat Tampa Bay last night, so they put their lead on Tampa Bay back to 2.5 games. And Baltimore lost, so they now have a 1-game lead over Baltimore. They start a 4-game series today against Baltimore, where Tampa Bay starts a 3-game series against one of the other AL top dogs in Texas. So my question to you is, where would your panic meter be if you were a New York Yankee fan?
I'm going to be honest, non-existent. I'm a Met fan. I'm not a Yankee fan, like I said last week. But I always find it funny when you listen to WFAN and you hear the people panicking. What are you panicking about exactly? All right, the Yankee rotation hasn't been as strong as in years past. The bullpen has basically not missed a beat since Rivera went down, which is impressive. I think, Francesa said it the other day. I was actually listening. He said, if you would have told the Yankee fan after Rivera went down that would have been the part of the team that you didn't have to worry about, you would have signed up for it without question. And they got A-Rod back last night. I think they're going to wind up being fine. I think they're going to wind up winning the division. But at this point, I think Baltimore and Tampa Bay are going to wind up making the playoffs too. Angels just lost Jeff Weaver. Oakland, they got a lot of young starters. They're a pretty good team. They're not making that second wild card spot. Detroit could make a run, but you could say that about Detroit every year. It's insane that a team that has 2 of the best 15 hitters in baseball is right on the fence of the playoffs seemingly every year. So I think the Yankees are going to wind up making the playoffs. I'm not panicking with them at all because I would never think about that. But anyway, Baltimore and Tampa Bay, all three are going to wind up making the playoffs, some way, shape, or form. And I think it's going to be the Yankees winning the division.
All right. See, now that's an interesting point of view. Me and you didn't really get too much into all three making the playoffs. We sort of just touched on, where the Yankees are going to go. So that's interesting. I'm curious to see what you think on that one. Like, he has no panic for the Yankees. Now,
I also have no panic for the Yankees.
You have no panic for the Yankees.
I think we were talking about earlier in the week. I just think the Yankees have too much talent to worry. And granted, some guys have been hurt lately. And baseball's, a game where you're going to go through streaks. And, the Yanks were a little down. They were slumping. It happens. It's part of the season. It's a long season. And it's 162
Now, I'm going to be
games.
honest. I'm not going to lie. I would love to see some sort of collapse just to make us Met fans feel better about a few years ago. But I'm realistic enough to know that's probably not going to happen.
And
if you wish for it, it's definitely not going to happen.
I agree with what you said. The pitching staff, shy of the bullpen's, I should say Soriano has been good.
Very good.
Robertson was great early in the year, but since he's come back from injury, he's been a little shaky at times. I don't have the same faith in him as I did, say, back in May or June, when he was closing games and he unbelievable strikeout rate. He was looking great. Jabba came back. He hasn't looked very good. His fastball, granted, he's throwing 97, 98 miles an hour, but it's straight as an arrow. There's no movement to it. He's, so all you got to do is catch up to it, and you're putting it somewhere. And they're starting pitching.
Kuroda's been phenomenal.
Kuroda's been good.
Let's be honest.
Which shocked everybody.
Yeah.
All right.
Everybody. All you heard.
Starter and just sort
of. All you heard before the season started was he wasn't going to be able to adjust to the AL and pitching in Yankee Stadium, going from is it still Chavez Ravine?
I honestly have no idea.
Let's stick with that, I think. But, yeah.
He's
been good.
He's been pitching great the last 2 months. He had a rocky start to the season, but he's been pitching great the last 2 months, Kuroda. CC come back off the 15-day DL. It's going to take him a couple starts. He did 2 stints on the DL this year. I'm a little worried about him, but not real worried. But where I'm worried come playoff time is who is our third starter in the playoffs.
It's all about how Pettit does when he comes back.
And even Nova's throwing too now. But if the problem with Nova and Pettit is, are they going to have enough time to get ready for the postseason?
That's very true.
There's only 25 games left. or 26 games left, I think, for the
Maybe,
Yankees.
and maybe I'm wrong for thinking this. I think Pettit will handle that better than Nova will. Like, honestly, I'm one of those. I know a lot of people like Nova. I've always been kind of on the fence about Nova myself, but I think Pettit will wind up being fine.
I think you're right, but I think it's more because Nova's injury was a shoulder injury, where Pettit's injury was an ankle injury. So he was able to still keep his arm fresh. He was still able to throw. Even if he wasn't able to get out on a mound and throw, he could still, where Nova literally had to shut his arm down.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think you're right when you say that Pettit may respond better. Plus, Pettit's,
Proven veteran.
exactly
The stalwart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I hope he comes back. I hope he can go into that role because honestly, we can't rely on Phelps and Garcia in the playoffs whatsoever.
I'm kind of disappointed by the way Phelps has done since they put him in the rotation. I thought he looked good as the swing man, as the long man guy.
He is good as a long reliever out of the
Mm-hmm.
pen, but he's not a everyday
Well,
starter.
right
He's
now he
not-
has improved it. I'll give you that. Now, like I said, I was disappointed. I had him going last week on my fantasy team. I thought he was going to wind up doing good. He did not.
No.
So yeah.
So, but as the Yankees start getting a little healthier, I think things will start turning around. Do I think they're going to be as terrible as they've been, through the month of August? No.
Good teams know when to turn it on, though.
Yeah. So, and it's just a matter of getting some guys back. It's getting Granderson healthy. I mean, he hasn't looked right lately. Teixeira hopefully is coming back soon. He's a big part of the lineup there in the middle. Last night, the Yanks had Russell Martin batting 195 in the fifth hole, in the 5 spot.
Well, listen, I mean,
It's hard to have a lot of faith in your team.
No, you're right.
When
But
you got a guy
how'd he
when you're
play?
fifth. What?
How'd he play?
He played unbelievable.
Yeah,
Had
buddy.
three RBIs.
Yeah, buddy.
He had the ground rule double, scored 2 runs. Excuse
Listen,
me. And then he also had the home run later on. So maybe after that team meeting they had yesterday, they did call a team meeting about 4 o'clock, 4:30 yesterday afternoon. Of course, from what I read, all the key guys spoke.
Girardi was there too, I think.
Yeah, Girardi was there. I'm sure Jeter spoke. A-Rod spoke. CC. I'm sure a bunch of these guys stood up and spoke their mind. And hopefully, maybe this is a turning point, and they can get back on the right swing. They scored some runs last night, which has been a big problem. They haven't been scoring.
Yeah.
So
And Granderson and Teixeira, traditionally, especially lately, they are streaky players. So, I mean, all you can really hope for is that, A, they are healthy and that they got the bad streaks out of the way and they turn it on, now that we're down the stretch.
yeah, it's going to be a tough weekend for the Yanks because they got to face 3 lefties in a row. The only righty they get is tonight.
So, who is it? It's Britton, because they're playing the Orioles this weekend, right?
Yep.
Britton, Arrieta, and who's the other one? Is it Matsus? I don't think he's left-handed. Right?
Chen, maybe?
I think it's probably Chen.
Might be Chen.
Yeah.
But
No.
I do know because I
Wait a
had heard
minute,
it last
isn't-
night that they are playing.
I don't think
3
it's Chen.
lefties
Isn't
in a row.
Chen on Kansas City now?
No, they have a rookie named.
Oh, yeah, Y.E. Chen. Excuse
tonight
me. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Tonight you got Phelps versus Hamill. Tomorrow's Hughes versus Chen. Saturday, Sabathia versus Saunders. And then Sunday is Garcia versus Britton.
They have Saunders now. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So they face 3 lefties, which their lineup isn't necessarily designed to face lefties, but I think they'll be all right.
I mean, they are lefties, but those aren't exactly intimidating lefties. I mean, the guys I think the Yankees can handle.
Absolutely. It's just a matter of the Yanks have to at least split this series at worst. More than likely, they gotta win 3 or 4 this weekend. This is a big turning point weekend. I think for the Yankees, if they can get 3 or 4, puts them up 2 more games. Now they're up 3 in the division with 20 to play. It changes the whole complexion. If not, it's going to be a dogfight to the end.
I get the point you're making. I think they may be okay even if they just split it because Tampa Bay's got Texas, you said, right? That's going to be a daunting task for Tampa Bay. Texas is still one of the most dominating teams in the league. So, I mean, if the Yankees wind up splitting that and Tampa Bay loses 2 or 3, they still got a little bit of a lead. As far as dogfight, I mean, I don't really know what would qualify as that. As far as going down to the wire, I think, and I'll say this right now, I think the Yankees will wind up clinching the division with a week left, truthfully.
See, and you know what? I mean, the Yankees' schedule is very interesting, and that's my one area where I'm not sure how things will unfold for them. It's all division games. including in Fenway Park. And me and Eric touched on this the other day of how even though Boston's season is done, they're not making the playoffs. That's accepted already. That's known. And the Yankees have pretty much dominated them all year long. You cannot tell me that the Boston Red Sox players would not find a little satisfaction out of their year if they were able in that last 3-game series to stop the Yankees from winning an AL East title.
I absolutely agree with that point.
And the one thing me and him said is the Yankees don't want to be the wild card team.
No.
They're not a team that wants to get stuck in one game. They're a team that much prefers to have a series to play because one game, and if they don't get a couple home run balls, or if they got to play like Tampa Bay and David Price is pitching,
or even still, if they had to use CeCe in that 1-game playoff.
Yeah, no.
When the series started, you'd be down CeCe. And you can't not throw CeCe in that wild card game because it's a 1-game playoff.
Yeah.
You got to put your best foot forward.
No, you got very fair point on that. Yeah,
really handicap, I think, the Yankees.
Yeah. I think the only thing I'll add to that is just about the Red Sox. Yeah, absolutely. The Red Sox would love to be spoilers, but I think at this point, Red Sox don't have any sort of firepower to match that claim to try to be a sleeper. They traded Adrian Gonzalez. James Loney's not him. You have Pedroia and Ellsbury. That's great, but what else is there right now? Pedro Sirocco, he's been doing pretty good so far, but he's nowhere at the caliber where they really want him to be. And the pitching staff, I'm sorry, it's terrible. They still have Aaron Cook pitching games for them, so not really too worried about Boston at this point.
I'm not saying be worried about Boston. My only thing is teams. It's amazing what teams, especially division rivals, are willing to
the Yankees
sacrifice
can't sleep
to beat their division rival or ruin their I think back. I mean, all of us are Cowboy Giant fans. Think back over the past couple of years, the NFC East has always come down to that final freaking game. But sometimes one of the teams isn't playing for the playoffs, but yet they've come out and tried to play spoiler and maybe not have won, but pushed one hell of a game. Or you saw, there's a lot of moments in sports that you can find where the one team playing is playing for nothing, and the team playing is playing for a playoff spot or division title or something, and the team not playing for anything ends up pulling out the win.
Well, I think that's definitely the difference for the Yankees this year as opposed to years like last year. They do have to take every game with a certain level of seriousness. It's not like last year where they had the big league down the stretch and they could just kind of let the chips fall where they may. That's why baseball instituted the 5th playoff team, which was a great idea.
I love
it. Now you have playoff races going to the wire like they're supposed to be. No team packing it in early simply because they got a big lead in the division. It's not a case this year.
Well, we have a 4-game series coming up with the Baltimore Orioles. We'll obviously be able to recap tonight's game tomorrow for a little bit.